Guy came to church with me that weekend. Once in a great while, he agrees to, mostly because I really talk up the potlucks. Cammy, I whispered. We were sitting in the pew just behind Cammy and her mom. The organ was playing, and people were still coming into the sanctuary. So I figured it was okay to whisper to her. Friday went okay, I guess, I told her. You didn't hear of any vandalism at the hamlet, did you? She shook her head. It looks like Tony Stanford's here. I glanced around behind me. He's back there with Sheila and her mom. I wish my dad would come, Cammy whispered. I nodded sympathetically. Jean Horton stepped up to the pulpit microphone and the organ faded. It was the first time I'd seen her since her purse was stolen. Good morning, she said so cheerfully that nearly everybody said good morning back to her. Just two quick announcements from the Friend to Friend Center. First, there's going to be a watermelon work bee there a week from tomorrow. Notice the word watermelon. Put in a few hours of work, and you'll enjoy our watermelons even more. You coming? I whispered to Cammy. Sure. Music camp doesn't start till a week or two after that. Also, Mrs. Horton continued, Sheila and I went downtown yesterday afternoon to check out a new project we're thinking about. Sheila, come up here and tell us about it. I sat up and took notice. Sheila the waitress and Sheila the problem solver I knew well, but not Sheila the public speaker. But good old Sheila was just as cool as always. We're starting a program to provide sandwiches for street people, she said in a clear voice. Yesterday we took the bus to Grace Gospel Mission to get some advice on it. They gave us a lot of good tips, and we want to do a sort of pilot program this Monday night to see if it works. If any of you would like to help, let us know. Right, said Mrs. Horton. Thanks, Sheila. Boy, what would we do without Sheila over there at the center? Okay, people, this is your cue. Come and help us Monday night. We'll meet here at the church at 6:30. Downtown rush hour should be through by that time when we get down there. And if everything goes well and we get the details ironed out, we'll need tons of sandwiches in the weeks ahead. The rest of the announcements weren't as fun, since Mrs. Horton wasn't doing them. So I scanned the church bulletin, and as I did so, I leaped in my pew. Cammy, I touched her on the shoulder. You're playing the violin. She blushed slightly and nodded. You'll do great. And imagine my shock after she'd played the song through once. She actually sang a verse of it in a soft, no frills, sincere kind of voice about casting all your care upon Jesus. Then the pastor got up to speak. He's got a beard, which is somewhat cool, and he tells good stories, especially at the start of his sermons, and once in a while at the end. What's God really like? He asked us. Face it, if you don't know what God is like, you don't know how to worship Him. Right? Right. Notice what I've got in my hand. What are these? Sunglasses, said several people in the congregation. What color are they? Yellow. Yellow is right. Now, if I put these sunglasses on, what color will all of you be? He put the sunglasses on and peered through them. Yellow, his congregation told him. Now, are you really yellow? No, but you seem yellow to me. And he reached up and whipped off the glasses. Until I take these away. Now I can see you clearly. You see, he continued, some of us look at God through colored glasses. Some people use pink glasses, and what they see is a wimpy God who's always clucky and who won't deal out justice to those who deliberately cause people pain. Some people use smoky gray glasses and they see a God who's dull and unpleasant to be around. Some people use red glasses and always look at God through a fog of rage. They're angry at him because of something they think he's done to them or something he didn't prevent. They imagine he's always angry too. My challenge to you, he said, twirling the yellow glasses rapidly in his hand, is to get rid of your sunglasses. He let the glasses fly across the platform. Look at God clearly through this lens. He picked up his slim black Bible because it's only when you clearly see the love of God that you'll really want Jesus to come into your heart. Good job, Cammy, Sheila said. Potluck had started, and she and I and Sheila and Guy were standing in line. Thanks, Cammy blushed. Yeah, Cammy, Guy said. Why don't you sing at the gazebo? I'd need accompaniment, she answered, and a mic. Shirley Logan, whom I hadn't noticed before this minute, also complimented Cammy on her performance. I love that song, she said. It's one of my favorites. I thought of it more than once this past week. Sheila nodded sympathetically. You've been through a hard time. Sheila's brother, Tony, was ahead of her in line, so I didn't get a closer look at him until I got to my table and found that my folks had decided to sit with the Stanford family. Sheila and her brother were sitting toward one end of the table, and the only chair left for me was next to Tony. Tony, this is Mark Kruger, said Sheila. Hi, he said. He had a funny way of looking at you. He'd stare you straight in the eye for a couple seconds and then sort of appear to lose interest in you and look somewhere else. It was as though he'd size you up and didn't find you very satisfactory. Tony's looking for a job, Sheila said, as a janitor somewhere. We're going to take him to Mrs. Wentworth to see if she needs a janitor. Just for the summer, said Tony. I'm going to start computer school in the fall. Sheila glanced left and right and lowered her voice. Or maybe we can get him on as night security guard at the Hamlet. But don't tell anybody yet. Tony suddenly leaned over and tapped my sketchbook that I'd leaned against my chair. What's that? Oh, just a sketch pad I carry around. What's in it? Drawings. Of what? Mark's a good artist, Sheila told him. That's what he's been doing at the Hamlet this week, drawing sketches of people. He gets paid for it too. Cool, said Tony. His voice didn't have much emotion in it. Let me see some. He looked me in the eye and reached down for the sketchbook.